Folks, buckle up, because the Toronto Blue Jays are already making headlines, and we haven't even played a single game that counts. Spring training just kicked off, and things are already spiraling into absolute madness. Injuries, outfield logjams, rotation questions, a missing superstar, and one of the boldest win predictions you'll hear all season. This is the episode where everything changes, and you are not going to want to miss a single word. We've got boots on the ground in Dunedin. Our guy Keegan is right there in the middle of the action, and together we're breaking down everything that's happening with your Toronto Blue Jays as they chase that elusive World Series crown that was ripped from their hands in the most dramatic, gut-wrenching fashion just a few months ago. Yeah, we said it. Game 7. We're still not over it either. But guess what? A new season is here, and this team is loaded. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the outfield situation. Because if you've been watching this channel even casually over the past few months, you know I have been banging this drum harder than anyone. The Toronto Blue Jays have themselves what can only be described as an outfield traffic jam, and it just got a whole lot messier. Jesus Sanchez is now in the building. That acquisition raised eyebrows across the league, but here's the thing everyone's missing. This isn't just about who fills the lineup card. This is about raising the ceiling on a team that already has an incredibly solid floor. And what happens to Nathan Lukes in all of this? Well, here's where it gets juicy. The initial panic was real. The trade for Sanchez had people convinced that Nathan Lukes was as good as gone. Mitch Bannon was even reporting that the writing might be on the wall. But don't count Lukes out just yet, because the stats tell a very different story. Think back to last year when Miles Straw, a guy nobody expected much from, ended up playing in 137 games. 137. Will Wagner, Alan Roden, Jonathan Klass, Lau Jimenez, Michael Stefanik, all these guys carved out roles on this roster when nobody thought there was room. The Blue Jays always find a way to use the depth they have, and the Santander injury, which has already happened again this spring, means there will be opportunities for everyone. Nathan Lukes is a manager's dream. He's the same player every single day, whether he's been sitting on the bench for 5 days or just came off a 2-game stretch. His consistency is his superpower, and that, my friends, is something you simply cannot say about Jesus Sanchez. Don't get us wrong, Sanchez is electric. He is the ceiling raiser this team desperately needed, the kind of guy who can carry a week of games and make you forget every roster concern you had. But you don't sit him on a bench for 5 days and then throw him in cold. He needs to be out there cooking, grinding, and that's exactly why the Jays need guys like Nathan Lukes to complement him. So here's how the outfield probably shakes out. Jesus Sanchez starts virtually every game against right-handed pitching. Full stop. That's why they got him. Addison Barger works the other side of that platoon. David Schneider gets his opportunities, particularly against lefties, though it's worth noting that Schneider actually hit righties better than lefties last season when you really dig into the numbers, which creates a fascinating puzzle for manager John Schneider heading into the year. Nathan Lukes fills in, pinch hits, and somehow ends up in more games than any of us expect. George Springer, Michael Shawn, there are pieces everywhere. And RJ Schreck, Yendra Panango, and a handful of other depth options round out a group that has enough big league outfielders to survive almost anything. But here's the critical point that our man Keegan on the ground keeps hammering home. You don't just need a good floor. You need someone who can be great when the moment hits. And Jesus Sanchez, at his very best, has that kind of potential. Think about what Teoscar Hernandez brought to this franchise at his peak. Flawed, sure, takes weird angles on fly balls, strikes out more than you'd like, but when he gets hot, he changes games. He changes seasons. If Sanchez taps into that energy with David Popkins and this new hitting group, if he gives you 25 to 28 home runs while absolutely feasting on right-handed pitching, you've done something special. You've raised the ceiling. And that is exactly what contenders do. Now let's talk about the starting rotation, because this is arguably the most exciting part of this entire Jays team. And it's also where the drama is already heating up before anyone has faced a real at-bat. Shane Bieber is back in blue and gold, and that alone was supposed to be the headline of the spring. But here's the scary part. Bieber is not going to be ready for opening day, and when you're talking about a forearm issue, not ready can mean 2 weeks, or it can mean 2 months, and nobody knows which one we're dealing with right now. He's in a free agent year. This man needs to stay healthy. Fingers crossed, candles lit, whatever you believe in, send it Bieber's way. So what does the rotation actually look like when the Jays host the Athletics on opening day? Dylan Cease is your guy. He is going to be the ace of this staff, and reports from spring training suggest he's already adding a changeup to what is already one of the most devastating arsenals in baseball. This man is going to be special in Toronto. Kevin Gausman gets his starts, and he deserves an opening day nod, honestly, after everything he's brought to this franchise. Jose Barrios has thrown 3 of the last 4 opening days, which is somehow a wild trivia fact that doesn't get nearly enough attention. Cody Pond and Trey Savage round out a rotation that, on paper, is easily one of the best in the American League. Yes, Cody Pond, the big man, the mystery. Built for innings, came over from Korea where he threw 180 innings last season, and he's already charming everyone in the media room with his laid-back personality. He's the X factor, the wild card, the guy who could be the biggest steal of the entire offseason if he locks in as a starter. But the innings management conversation is real, both for Pond and for Trey Savage. Remember what happened with Alek Manoah when they pushed him too hard, too fast? They're not going to make that mistake again. You might see Eric Lower stepping in for the occasional spot start. Gage Stanifer could eventually factor in. The rotation is going to be a living, breathing, fluid thing all season long. And if Max Scherzer, yes, that Max Scherzer, the guy who was literally on this team last year, finds himself needing a team in May or June, well, let's just say the Jays would have an easy phone call to make. Now, can we talk about Bo Bichette for a second? Because this one still stings. Bo was the heart and soul of this franchise for years. He wanted to win with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He loved Toronto. And yet, when the dust settled on what turned out to be the most wild offseason in recent Blue Jays history, Bo Bichette is a New York Met. Why? It comes down to money, pure and simple. The Mets offered a contract that was simply not realistic for most teams in baseball. NBA-style money, NBA-style years, and when you factor in the luxury tax implications, it's not just the number you see on the paper, it's significantly more. Dylan Cease was a priority. The pursuit of Kyle Tucker, even if it ultimately fell short, was a priority. And when all was said and done, the math simply did not work for Bo. Enter Ernie Okamoto. The pressure on this young man is absolutely enormous. Not because of anything he did, but because he's walking into a situation where he's essentially being asked to replace a beloved franchise cornerstone. The Blue Jays love him internally. Everything coming out of spring training about him is glowing. And there's a genuine upside case here. Andres Jimenez is a dramatically better defender at shortstop than at second base. His defensive value was being wasted before, and this infield reconfiguration could make everyone better. Okamoto plus Jimenez at the left side of the infield is a legitimately exciting combination, but he's got to produce. If Okamoto can get close to Bichette's offensive production, this team doesn't just survive the transition, it thrives. Addison Barger also has pressure on him. George Springer, entering the back end of his career, needs to hold up over 162 games. And David Schneider, sweet, hard-working, fan favorite David Schneider, needs to step up in ways we haven't quite seen yet. The ABS challenge system might actually be a massive unlock for him. Keegan's point about that is well taken. Schneider has the ability to be a lefty masher. He showed flashes of it coming through the minors, and if he rediscovers that, suddenly the whole bench dynamic changes. So where does all of this leave us? What do the Toronto Blue Jays actually look like when they step onto that field for real? Here's the bold prediction. 99 wins, tying the all-time franchise high. This division is going to be an absolute war. The Yankees scored 1 billion runs last year and will get Garrett Cole back at some point. Boston's rotation is looking improved, and Baltimore cannot possibly be as bad as they were in 2024. But the Jays should be considered the clear favorite in the AL East right now. The rotation, when healthy, is elite. The lineup has ceiling raisers it hasn't had in years. The bullpen has pieces. And this team is hungry, borderline starving after having the World Series snatched from them in Game 7. Ernie Clement said it best when Keegan talked to him in camp. He's just happy to stop talking about last year. John Schneider's been everywhere, and everyone keeps asking him about that slide. The whole team is ready to move on, ready to channel that pain into something historic. And in 3 or 4 days, there will be spring training baseball on your television. You won't recognize half the names on the field in the 7th inning, but it won't matter, because the Blue Jays machine is firing up again, and the 2026 season is going to be one for the ages. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. Smash that like button so more Jays fans can find us. Drop a comment below. Do you think the Toronto Blue Jays win the AL East this year? Yes or no? Let's hear it. Get the debate going in the comments right now. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, because we are going to be with you every single step of this Blue Jays journey from now until they hoist that trophy. The mission is not finished, not even close. Let's go, Toronto.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.